and for those listening, whenever you have a company that does a ton of D2C business, that makes you super attractive to big boys because they don't know how to do D2C. The smartest people in this country, in the finance world, don't understand people and they can't do direct to consumer. All they understand is retail.
Yep.
Why are you smiling and laughing?
I'm smiling because we're going to weaponize that exact thing here at Born Primitive because I know that that D2C is a much harder thing, and so we're starting to go after big box retail as we speak, and that's exactly it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you have a like, I think that Black Rifle right before we went public, I think like it was like 90% direct to consumer.
Yeah.
No, not or maybe a year or two before we went public. It was massive direct to consumer. Killcliff was massive direct to consumer because like Coke, Pepsi, those types of companies, it's like, wait a minute, these guys are in like 6,000 CrossFit gyms. We don't know how to get our products into CrossFit gyms.
So just
however,
let's buy it.
We can send an email and get them in every grocery store in the country. So that's the whole point. Like for entrepreneurs, stuff like that, do the things uncharacteristically well and do things that others can't do, you know? And that was, so fast forward, I'm at Black Rifle. I'm a director of strategic relations. I've got my consulting business is crushing it. And
where did that relationship initially start with Evan? How did you link up with
So
those
I was
guys initially?
sitting on my couch in Washington State and my phone rang. I got a text from a guy named Brant that owned a company called Two Vets Arms. He's like, I'm going to introduce you to one of these guys at Article 15, Jared Taylor. I was like, cool. So JT calls me. He's like, hey, we're doing this movie called Range 15. And we want Killcliff to be a sponsor. I said, how much? He said, $50,000. I was like, hold on. I called Todd. I was like, dude, like these guys are super badass. They're super entertaining. They want us to sponsor their movie. He's like, how much? I was like, 50 grand. He's like, we're in. That's how that relationship started.
Gotcha.
And I just kind of hit it off with those guys, and they were great. But so my consulting company's kicking ass, and Black Rifle's going really, really well. And I remember they had kind of started putting out feelers about buying Killcliff. They were trying to sell it and unload it. Sunrise.
And were they getting their asses handed to them? Like the strategy, was it tanking? Like
no, what was happening was Sunrise had a fund that had a bunch of brands in it.
Okay.
And they had exited all the other brands. And the only thing left in that fund was Killcliff. So they couldn't close that fund down until Killcliff was done. And then they just got sick of putting money into it.
Yeah.
You know? And so I remember I got a call from Todd. He's like, hey man, I'm thinking about buying Killcliff back. And I was like, hell yeah, man. And we talked for probably, I think, 3 hours. And I was like, you never get a chance to undo a screw up. You know what I mean? Like you never, ever get a chance to absolutely royally mess something up, become 100 times smarter and more experienced, and then be like, hey man, it's like going back in time to when you're 18. What would you do differently? Oh my God. And I remember talking to Todd because like he and I, like we kind of kept in touch. We'd maybe text or comment on a social post like once every 6 months or something like that. Like we kind of grew apart. He was doing his thing, I was doing my thing. And I was just like, hey man, you just got to know this. I'm not the same person that I was. Like my toolbox is real big now. Back then it was just a hardworking, bald-headed dude. But like I'm different now. He's like, so am I.
Still bald though. But
Absolutely. I've been bald. Dude, first day of summer camp, I remember taking my helmet off in college.
Oh God.
And I looked and I was like, man, my helmet's too small. It's full of hair. And I looked at my roommate, Mark Beeler, 6'5" offensive lineman, Greek dude. His hairline like literally starts right here.
It's not right above his eyebrow.
Wasn't a hair in his helmet. And I was like, I think I'm going bald. 18 years old. But I was like, I'm in, Todd. You just got to promise me we're not going to screw up the way we did before. He's like, never. We'll never do it. We'll never make those mistakes again. And so it was last year at Sornex's Winter Strong. It was Friday. His phone rang. He goes, it's done. And I was like, hell yes, it's on.
What were you able to get it for? If you don't mind, you able to answer that?
A song and a dance.
So you got it on the cheap.
One of those
like
things
under,
like
under $5 million.
Yes.
Okay. That's
It
on
was
the
like,
cheap.
It was throwing it through.
They need to get rid of it.
Yeah, dispose of the asset.
Yeah.
Throwing out a number that's so ridiculously low.
Wow.
And they're like, yeah, we'll take it. And you're just like,
Wow.
why didn't I go lower?
Yeah.
By the way, you're like,
okay.
you know, do you have $3 million? So I was like, let me make some calls, you know, but it was, they were hemorrhaging like $700,000 a month. This is the one thing that will define, put it into perspective for you. They were spending $2,500 a month on email addresses that hadn't been active in 4 years.
Yep.
And to people listening, company doing $25 million in revenue, that doesn't sound like a lot of money. Get 10 of those, $25,000 a month. Mm-hmm. Throw in a few $8,000 here, a $5,000 monthly expense here. Mm-hmm. You can see how like those are budget busters. Those are the little things that just add up and add up and add up. So it's profitable now, which is fantastic. We did that in 3 months.
And I think that's been the blessing with Born Primitive is since we never raised money, we always had to be super efficient with our expenses, where it's like a lot of these people we compete with that, you know, again, it was raise top line revenue at all costs.
West Coast
right?
offense, man.
Some PE firm gives you $30 million. Yes. Before you know it, you're doing all these dumb things. Oh, it's only $10,000. Yeah. Let's do that fancy lunch, or let's do this and that. You know what I mean? And it adds up. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that's a disadvantage.